Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Yo, it's the Hud, and welcome back to the Baseball Head. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to run over, run over, do over. It doesn't matter. We're going to go over the predicted 26-man roster that the Mets could possibly have 2025. It's just the beginning. We have not reached the point of all the players in camp yet, which will happen next week. Hopefully they'll announce by the end of the week the re-sign of Pete Alonso. They've not done that. So officially did not announce Pete on the roster. But it's pretty much obvious that Pete's coming back. We all know that. Pete hasn't said anything. I know Steve Cohen has. But here we go. This is from SNY. We'll go over theirs and we'll see. I've not read it, so we'll see what they have to say. I like not reading because you get my own sort of initial reaction. Mets 26-man roster prediction 2.0 2025 season. Roster battles are coming into focus with spring training underway. Mets spring training in Port St. Lucie, Florida is in full swing. The big group of position players are already there, along with the pitchers and catchers, when writing their way too early roster prediction back on January 13th, Jesus. They theorized that the Mets would add another impact bat. They did that. Pete, a legitimate late-inning weapon. They did that. A DH outfielder and perhaps make a trade or two before all was said and done. They've done the first three things, re-signing Pete Alonso to a two-year deal, inking A.J. Minter, and re-signing Ryan Stanek, and of course bringing back Jesse Winker. With about 6 weeks to go until spring training against the Astros in Houston, the possibility remains that the Mets could swing a trade or two. Barring that, all the players who will break camp with the team should already be on the 40-man roster or part of the non-roster invitees. Here's their list. So they would have at first, behind the plate, be Francisco Alvarez. We know that. Pete Alonso will be the first baseman. We know that. Jeff McNeil will be the second baseman. We'll see. Francisco Lindor will be the shortstop. Mark Vientos will be at third, and his value is highest at third if he continues to do the kind of production output that he did last year. If he plays first base, he's not going to be an all-star, but at third base, if he does this again, he'll be on the all-star team. Book it. If he has that kind of first half this year, he will be on the all-star team. I will guarantee you that. Brandon Nim on left field, okay. Tyrone Taylor in center field, obviously with Jose Siri. Of course, a man named Juan Soto will be in right field. And one of the DHs will be Jesse Winker. The lineup should be mostly locked in, perhaps with the exception of second, which we'll get to in a bit. They wrote in our two early roster prediction that included Pete Alonso at first, that while people were bending over backwards to try to find a landing spot for him that wasn't the Mets, that they remained by far the most logical landing spot. They also explained at the time that while the Mets could have conceivably shifted Mark Vientos to first and filled third base internally, that couldn't possibly have been their preferred outcome. That wasn't, believe me. I don't think that would have been a good idea. You didn't want to have like an unknown at first in terms of defensively, and an complete unknown at third when you're trying to go to the World Series. Carlos Mendoza said on February 11th that Ronnie Mauricio likely wouldn't get his spring training games until the middle of March. That further proved that the Mets were either bluffing about going eternal at third, or were fully comfortable with either Brett Beatty or Luis Angel Acuna there, which is hard to believe. Yeah, I'm certainly not sold on Brett Beatty. Acuna's different. I don't know if he's a third base. He might be a little vertically challenged. A way too early projection also predicted the return of Jesse Winker. Mendoza added, as far as second base goes, Mendoza wouldn't go so far to name McNeil the starter there as camp starter, but he strongly hinted at McNeil's job to lose. Now, he will play a lot. So on this team, he's going to play a lot. He's going to play left field a little bit, right field a little bit, DH a little bit, second base. So he's going to get his at-bats. But he's got to hit. We know that. Mendoza added that Acuna, Beatty, and prospect Jeff Williams would be among the other players getting reps at second base in games this spring. With Acuna and Beatty also seen time at third, and Jeff Williams in the outfield, center field in particular. So these guys are going to get a lot of playing time, and we're going to see them a lot. The easy money is on McNeil breaking camp as the starter at second. But that position could be in flux if he struggles to start the year. Right. I mean, or if he hits really well, maybe they trade him. Who knows? But McNeil's here, so don't expect him to get moved. They don't mention Starlin Marte, who will be the other player. They didn't mention him here, which I think they should have, since he's the fifth outfielder on this team and the right-handed DH on this team. Starting rotation. Shormanaya, okay, check. Kodai Senga, we'll see. David Peterson, okay. Clay Holmes, slight question mark because you don't know how he's going to perform in the rotation. And Frankie Montas is a fifth starter. He makes me nervous. With the handful of scheduled off days over the first few weeks of the season, the Mets will begin the year with a 5-man rotation before transitioning to a 6-man rotation, which will help keep Kodai Senga fresh and keep Clay Holmes' innings total in check a bit as he transitions from relieving to starting. Shomer and I will lead the group, which will be rounded out by David Peterson and Frankie Montas. Senga will be the X factor. That is very true. As for the sixth starter role, will include Paul Blackburn, Griffin Canning, and Tyler McGill. And then, of course, we have Brandon Sproat at the back end, but he's down the road. I'm not too concerned with him. Griffin Canning, I think I said in the previous video that the Mets look at him as a guy that could be a number 1 starter, that he has that kind of stuff. He was drafted number 1 by the Angels. They didn't know what the hell they're doing there in Anaheim. So that's a guy to keep an eye on with the Mets. And we got in the bullpen, Edwin Diaz, AJ Minter, Daniel Nunez, Reed Garrett, Jose Butto, Ryan Stanek, Sean Reed Foley, and Griffin Canning. So, I mean, it's a pretty good bullpen. I mean, I wish they'd had another lefty here. But the Mets have a long man, Jose Butto. They got a lefty in Minter. They could use another lefty in that bullpen. I guess Danny Young, could be the other lefty. And Butto obviously is a key guy because he could be a long man. A couple other guys he would go through. But you got Husker Brazaban. Well, see, he makes me nervous. Jose Sirius, the fourth outfielder on this Mets team. He's not going to hit much, but he's a great defensive player. And the reason he's here is because they need strong defense in center field with Nimmo and Soto there on the corners. So that's why they went to a guy that's a better defensive player than Harrison Bader. Luis Torrens will be back behind the plate for the Mets. He's a great defensive catcher. Nobody runs on him. Nick Madrigal, we'll see how he performs in spring. He's got a split contract, so he could be on the Mets 26-man roster when they come up north, or he'll go to AAA. So the Mets actually did a smart move instead of Joey Wendell, who gave them nothing last year, and they gave him a major league contract. But at least with Madrigal, he's got a split contract. And finally on this list is Starlin Marte, who I would think that he's going to be here. He's making too much money, and he has really declined as a player. So the Mets are just not going to, kill themselves with it. Now, I would mention the one drawback to this 26-man roster is, according to them, the players they have on here, the Mets do not have a natural backup shortstop. So that is a concern to me because I can't have Lindor get hurt at some point and then I got to go to somebody that's not a shortstop by shortstop. The most natural shortstop the Mets have on their 40-man roster besides him is, and that can play, that doesn't need any rehab work, is Luis Angel Acuna. So that's the only one that actually has the ability to play shortstop over a long period of time if I need it. So, but let me know what you think about this 26-man roster. The rosters always change. They could change within a day of the season beginning. So I'm not getting worked up about this, but people like to talk about it. We can talk about it here. No problem. But thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later.